Hello friends, welcome back to the Performance Lounge. We are talking about burnout today, something you and I have both experienced.
Yeah.
It's no fun. It's rough. Burnout is rough. So we're going to be talking about burnout and how to avoid it. We should caveat that, interestingly, despite the fact that Bex and I have both suffered from burnout in the past, symptoms.
The burnout was different.
Yeah, it manifested itself in different ways.
Yeah.
For me, and we'll get into the hows and whys and share our story a little bit. But for me, it was like a mental burnout, which actually ended up putting me in therapy for about 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And yours was somewhat
Physical.
Yeah, somewhat mental, but mostly physical.
Yeah,
like
mine was absolutely Mine was absolutely mostly physical.
Yeah.
I think like the mental, like you were saying, like a little bit mental, but not like how yours was.
No.
Like the mental burnout comes a little bit from just being too exhausted to actually take on mental capacity, but not unlike mine was mainly physical.
Yeah,
sure.
you were actually in bed. Like,
yeah, it was
like
bad.
the flu, wasn't it? Really, it just wiped you out.
Worse than the flu.
So that's fun. We're going to be talking today about some of the practices that we implement now to avoid it happening again.
Yeah.
We should point out that obviously we have no medical training. This is all anecdotal. This is things that we do for us. It may work for you. It may not. But given that we are busy professionals, we run multiple businesses, we are active, hands-on parents, and we are guilty sometimes of burning the candle at both ends from a physical well-being capacity and from a business capacity.
This is our experience.
This is our experience. Yeah, exactly that, Bex. You're spot on. So shall we be a little bit self-indulgent? Should we just perhaps put a little bit of meat on the bones as to what happened to us, so then we have something to kind of leverage our advice from?
Definitely.
Do you want to go first?
Either or.
No, you go first.
So mine was, I'd never suffered any form of burnout previous to this, and I haven't since either. My burnout occurred last year. I can really pinpoint mine in terms of why it got to where it was, because I was flat out working anyway, but I had we had a holiday booked, didn't we? Because I was ill the 2 days before, or the day before, really. The burnout was really, 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 really bad.
Yeah.
And I was constantly like, well, I just need to work through till the holiday. The holiday was like a marker of like let go and release. And that was really interesting, actually, because I saw somebody else was saying the other day that when they go on holiday, it's almost like some people use it as a marker of downtime. But if you do that and work flat out, sometimes your holiday is ruined because you almost get ill, because your body then, when it finally releases and like relaxes, it's almost like everything catches up in one.
Yeah.
But that's when I got burnout. I was working flat out. I had a photo shoot, a Strong and Sexy photo shoot, the weekend before, and it's actually one of the I know we will get into this, but it was actually one of the turning points when I stopped doing 2-day
back-to-back shoots.
Yeah, because I had done 2 back-to-back shoots, and then I had gone flat out into the week, knowing that we had the holiday on the Friday, and yeah, I was very, very, very bad, very burnt out, and it hit me like a train.
Looking back at it now, it was probably, I think it's fair to say, like, we've learned some lessons around schedule management.
Definitely.
Because you had like event, and again, I've done it, and I'm sure everybody else listening has done something similar, where it was like you had maybe 4 or 5 of big events that were quite demanding, that took a lot from you.
Intensive days,
and
photo
it was like,
shoots.
I'll get through this one,
and
then you was like ticking them off, and then I'll get to the holiday, and then pop. There is a science actually behind why we get ill when we go on holiday.
Is that really?
Yeah, and for the life of me, I wish I knew, but it is Googleable. There is logic to it.
Do you know what though? Even just from learning from this, do you remember on that holiday I still had to work because I had plans to get out for the next Strong and Sexy.
Yeah.
And we were up, like, we brought the Wi-Fi package on board. Had like over 25 plans to send out that were just being drip fed and we were filling out spreadsheet. Like, yeah, it was just,
it was brutal.
It's absolutely crazy. But I physically couldn't get out of bed. I remember my sister coming round. I think you'd gone to jiu-jitsu in the morning. I was like, go have your session. I'll be fine. Like, Ab was like, do you remember? Ab was like, I'll come over. I'll take row. I couldn't even pick rowing up. I couldn't. I remember going downstairs, opening the door, walking back upstairs and like having to stop halfway because I was so physically fatigued from walking down the stairs. And it was just awful. It was really, really, really bad.
Correct me if I'm wrong. From what I remember, there were no actual, we talked about like flu-like symptoms, but it was like, there weren't actually many like illness-related symptoms.
No, I didn't have like a fever or sick.
You were just fucking wiped out. Just incredible fatigue.
Yeah, it was, but it was worse than the flu. Because with the flu, at least like you have a little bit of like, you're cold, you're hot. Okay, it's horrible.
I can blow my nose to get some relief for a minute.
Yeah, and it's almost like tangible. Okay, I've got the flu.
Yes,
this is what's happening to me.
That's a really good point.
Where burnout is like next level. It was exhaustion.
It was exhaustion.
It was exhaustion, and it was complete fatigue, muscle fatigue. I literally couldn't even get out of bed.
No.
I was wiped out. So that was when that happened to me. And we're going to talk in a little bit more depth. There's loads of things we've implemented since then. Even now, like, so we went on holiday this year, same style of holiday on a cruise. I had no work. Where like, again, and I wanted to say at the beginning, actually, I don't wish anybody to get burnout. I don't want anyone to get burnout. But sometimes when you get it, it's when you will never get it again. Because you'll never let yourself get to a point.
It's an unteachable lesson. You have to fuck around and find out.
But it's not nice. And if you can put steps in place to prevent it, I haven't even felt really close to burnout since, not to that level, because we really have put things into our schedule and we structure our year in such a way. Like we've already had free breaks. Free breaks this year. It's now July, with another couple scheduled that allows us to reset and not get to that point. So, but we can talk more to that. Yours was different though, wasn't it?
Yeah. So mine manifested itself in a very, in a fatigue way, but it was a mental fatigue. So I have kind of spoken about this before, and I allude to it on one of my, the very early podcasts when the podcast was the Healthful Executive. We had a guy called Roger Saville on, who was my therapist. An amazing man. And so I've told this story a little bit before, but I had took a bit of a gamble in my career. I joined a brand new consultancy, a startup. And within about 3 years, we'd gone from nobody's ever heard of us to market leaders and dominating the sectors and the markets that we worked in. Then the pandemic hit. And our markets were luxury hospitality, cruise, so super yacht market as well, so maritime in general. And what were the first markets to shut down during the pandemic? Hospitality in general. So hotels are shutting down, cruise ships are docked up for a year.
Well, that was your biggest market, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd taken a business trip, and this is like the week before. This was in the February before lockdown. Flew out on a business trip, secured a monstrous bit of business. I was on a personal level, from a commission standpoint, looking at an absolutely insane year. The revenue for the company was going to be off the charts. And then
you did really well, didn't you?
And then lockdown hit. And all of a sudden the clients are phoning us saying, yeah, by the way, we can't do that anymore because we're having to shut down. Governments were shutting anyway. So being the kind of dynamic and gritty individuals that we were working for that company, we were like, okay, cool. Let's go and hit some other markets. We've done this in these markets. We can do it in other markets. And then all of a sudden I just couldn't get myself going to start again. I'd put everything, we all had put everything into getting this company to where it was. And then we had to do it all over again. And I just couldn't do it. I was mentally burnt out. I was an emotional wreck. I was tired. And like I say, in the end, it it ended up being that I went to therapy for like 6 months as a result. And it was cool because we worked on some other shit that I didn't know I had to work on. Definitely made me a better man, but it was brutal. You know, I was in quite a dark place, if I'm being honest. You know, it wasn't fun. So that's our story. We won't dwell on it too much. We won't be too self-indulgent, but we wanted to tell you what we think qualifies us to have this conversation with you today. So,
Rob, before we get going again any further, I need you to move your mic.
Why?
Because I think your shirt is folding over and covering the mic, because every time you talk, you are getting up to a yellow line.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, guys.
No, good shout. Let's do that. Hang on.
Hopefully that picked up fine. I didn't want to stop you in your flow because that was such an important story.
There we go. We'll go ahead.
Hopefully that's picked up okay.
Testing. Yeah, that looks better.
That looks much better.
Sorry, guys. We've got a little monitor down here, and
I don't know what that yellow. I don't know what that means.
Okay. Well, it's
anyways, it doesn't matter.
We've re-recorded podcasts in the past. Yeah, we will do it again if need be. So,
but that was a really interesting time. But I just want to add there as well. Your company that you work for supported you through that, didn't they? They did.
Huge credit.
They did support you.
Yeah, you know, huge credit, and I'm happy to name drop. I was working for an organisation called Stellamar. Alistair McMillan, my chief exec at the time, Adam Myers, my head of HR at the time. They really rallied behind me, and actually, it was their idea for me to go to therapy.
Yeah.
And they paid for it too. So
and it was really good shit.
Yeah, you know, full credit to those guys, and I'm very grateful because it turned out to be one of the best experiences of my life. But let's move on and actually talk about how can we things that we do anyway that we find are useful, that we share with some of our clients, particularly our fitness-based clients. So, do you want me to start?
Well, I have something fresh on my mind. So if you
do it, no, go. I've got notes. If you're fresh, go.
Okay, cool. One of the big things that I think has helped and has been the most influential to just avoiding burnout in general is our at the beginning of the year meetings. We actually don't do it in a whole year, do we? We look at time blocks. Mm-hmm. We block out. We tend to work in 6-month period. We meet and have our end of quarter meetings that then look at the next 3 months and so on. But we specifically really work in a 6-month time block that we know. We've always holidayed every 6 months. Our holiday when we both worked in corporate work ran from January to December. So going on holiday in June was always a really good midway point for us. And that has still stayed as a staple for us. Our main holiday tends to be around June, July. And it was always because we were like, right, we'll just get through 6 months and then we could get through another 6 months. But I think it's fair to say the demands of how we are and our life is now is very different.
Yeah.
And therefore we schedule out more time as needed to decompress and have that. So when not to go into the details of our meetings, because that would be 1, boring, and 2, probably good for another podcast, really, because it is good how we structure it. But one part of that is our family time, and when are we going to carve that in? So for the last 2 years now, if we're working from January to December, we've always had a break in March. That's just been 4 days. Never feels like quite long enough, actually, does it? We actually probably do need to bring that out to a week, but we have a break in March, we have a break in June or July, and we have a break in September. Mm-hmm. So at the moment, we don't know what our September break is going to be. That's something that we need to sit and discuss at the end of July.
But as a result, what we've done, I'm sorry to interrupt you, this might be what you're about to say, we have left September open.
But we know the week that we're taking.
Yes, so we haven't put anything in there. So, you know, when it comes to scheduling out, as Beck said, we'll kind of go, these are our family blocks and they're absolutely non-negotiable. There is nothing you can put in those blocks and no amount of money you can pay us now to take those blocks from us.
No.
And then you much more so than me now, will sit and be like, right, we've got this coming, any big events that are, and we'll mark those out as far as the following December.
We actually schedule them a little bit now in line with those times, right? So we had a little family holiday that we went away with your family in June, which was like 2 weeks or 3 weeks after our, it was in May. It was like a couple of weeks after our little break that we had. And I had done the Strongest Sexy shoot for the weekend, or when we were looking at when we could go away with the family, I was like, well, could we go away the Monday after the Strongest Sexy so that I can work. I liked it, but even down to little things as well. Like I like to prep for those shoots as well. So even the physical toll that takes on me to be able to then like after a Strong and Sexy be like, okay, decompress, and then like we go until we go on holiday or whatever it might be. So we do scheduling events definitely around it for it to all work. But since doing that, family time still is still really busy. It's still full on. But the most important thing is that we actually use those times to not work to a degree. There are some like on the little family UK breaks, I'll still touch point a little bit with clients and still be there. There's not as much physical demand. And on the main holiday that we had, I was like, I'm not working. And I didn't work, did I? Like I was like, I'm not working. So that's been really, really, really key for us and for me as well to have those blocks where we know it's non-negotiable. For sure. Time.
Just to jump in on the holiday thing and working, like there's sometimes, particularly when you work for yourself, and sometimes if you're a senior exec or a senior player in an organization, you might have to just check in and not so much work, but just check in.
Yeah,
I think that's important. And I had a business mentor a few years back, and he taught me about something called hairdryer time. And this is great. And you can call it what you want, but basically we were talking about an upcoming holiday that I had, and I had a lot of deals bubbling that still needed a little nudge here and there. And I was nervous about not being present on my holiday. And he said, use hairdryer time. And I said, what's hairdryer time? And he said, that period of the evening when you've come back to the hotel room and your wife's getting ready, and it takes you, because you're bold, it takes you 30 seconds to get ready and put your clothes on, and it takes her 45 minutes. Take your calls, check your emails, use hairdryer time, because it's not really quality time anyway.
No.
Put your phone down, then go to dinner. And I thought that was really cool. So I strongly recommend hairdryer time.
It is a good analogy.
It is a really cool analogy.
Not as easy if you have kids.
No.
Now.
No.
But you can find pockets, for sure. We both have found pockets where,
for sure.
But anyways, so that for me was a good starting point. That non-negotiable, and actually that was really driven and led by you, I must admit. So again, having a good support around you, and if you don't have it, then holding yourself accountable really, and sitting down and going, right, when am I going to take a week off? When am I going to have some time? You can still lightly work if you want to. It's just not having that could literally be as simple as like blocking out your calendar so no one could book a call in with you. That's actually something that I did do a little bit. I don't do it as much anymore, but I used to. I'd be like, no, I'm having like a week where I'm taking no calls, because to just have a little bit of time to catch up. So it's going to look different for everybody else, but it's an absolute essential part of your planning, even more so if you're self-employed.
I agree. Schedule management is the answer for a lot of things, and particularly to avoid burnout, like you say, making sure you've got that downtime. So I'm going to piggyback that with, I guess there's two things here that kind of fall into that. So the first one's setting boundaries. Really simply, setting boundaries.
Yeah.
It gets easier as you mature in your career.
I think as you mature in general.
And mature in general, actually.
Like just in general.
So setting boundaries, I mean professionally and personally, saying no more often. There's been times where we've both said to each other, like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I don't want to. I get no value from me, or it gives no value to me, and it's not how I want to spend my free time. And so that sounds brutal, and it doesn't sound super supportive, but it's a level of self-preservation that I think is really important. And so, telling people no, telling friends no, telling family no, alleviating yourself of some of the guilt of should. I'm not a big fan of should. There's a book we both, you love it, I fucking love it, called Essentialism. And it talks about cutting out the fluff and keeping what's essential. And I'm a big fan of cutting away should. I should go to that event because, or I should do this because. If it's a should, the likelihood is now it's going to become a no for me.
Yeah, the subtle art of not giving a fuck as well is really good. I mean, that was a big turning point for me, for sure. Especially with like, events that are like friends but distant friends. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, there's some things that just are you just can't really say no to, even though you don't want to do them. Like, you just there's some things that you just have to do. Don't have to go into any more depth on that, but you just do. But there's definitely times where, like, we've been invited round houses and we've gone, oh, I don't really want to do that. Like, especially like if we've had a busy week and we're like, I don't really want to spend my one free day on Sunday being round someone else's house. Like, I just want to be at home. And we're both like, okay, cool, we're going to decline it. And we've done that many of times. Even with family, we've gone, now we're going to skip this event because...
And you'll be amazed at the lack of pushback.
Yeah.
If you position it as like, look, guys, we've been flat out all week and we want to batten down the hatches and watch fucking Disney movies with our son on the sofa. We're not coming. And everyone's like, cool, we respect that. But I think you just got to be candid and you got to be honest. Like, don't lie, don't make up little white lies, don't fib, don't be kind of weak and half in, like, don't be half pregnant with it. Don't be like, yeah, we'll see what we can do. We're not coming, guys. Sorry, we'd rather just hang out as a family today. We need it. We need to reconnect. And I think being really candid and really upfront, you'll get a lot more respect for it. I've told this story before as well, actually, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I think it's a useful story. Setting boundaries in the professional arena.
Oh, that's a really good one.
Yeah. So before I get to that story, let me just set this up, right? So if your boss is expecting you to constantly be answering and checking emails after 5 o'clock or after your workday is finished, that's toxic leadership. If you are expected to essentially be available for calls and answer emails and be engaged on the weekends, that's also pretty toxic. Now, I've worked in some industries, particularly shipbuilding. When you deliver a ship, the final day before it's delivered generally tends to look like somewhere between a 22 and a 35-hour day. These guys don't go home. They don't get changed. It's brutal. And that's part of the job. You're delivering a multi-billion-dollar project.
Yeah.
And you wanted to be in that position. This is your moment. This is your World Cup final. Tough shit. But there are times when you need to be able to set some boundaries. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to work late tonight. I've got X. Not that you should have to justify what you have. I just can't work late tonight. I'm not going to be answering emails this weekend. I'm with my family. And I tell this story often because it was the first time I'd kind of really put my flag in the sand. I had a client in Miami, so the time difference was difficult. They called me and I was just walking into jiu-jitsu. It was a Tuesday night. I remember this really well. I was walking into jiu-jitsu. My phone rang. I saw it was Miami and I was like, fuck. I pick up the phone and they're like, hey, Rob. And it's all of a sudden it's pandemonium.
Chaos.
And I'm like, hey. So from what you've told me, I think this can wait. Like, tell me if I'm wrong, but this isn't business critical. This isn't going to cost the company money. This is pressing. This isn't urgent. Is that fair? And they're like, well, I was like, because I'm going to go into jiu-jitsu 7:30. I won't be finished till 9 and I'm not working on it tonight. Can I pick this up in the morning? And they were like, oh yeah, cool. Yeah. Pick it up tomorrow. That's no stress. And it was the first time I'd really pushed back against a big client, a senior exec, and been like, not tonight, yeah? Because the world's not falling apart. No one's going to die. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my thing. Because if you want me on best form, I need to go up on those mats and strangle some people.
Yeah, I think it's also about, it's just protecting your time. That even comes down again to scheduling and like we have our lunch break scheduled out. And we actually did some diary management at the weekend, didn't we? We reviewed the whole diary bit by bit. And you said to me, do we really need the lunch in at 12:30, for example? And I was like, don't take it out. Like, that for me is like, it's still a sacred hour in the day. Although that's carving out time for you, it's actually a boundary. It's a boundary with me and my clients, because if I didn't have that lunch break in, my clients would be able to book a call, for example. So it's a boundary. It's, it's there for a reason, and it's even more important in a corporate setting. Some of these meetings that you have over lunch are just absolute bullshit.
Yeah,
and actually could just wait for another hour or another half an hour and allow you to get some food. It's just, so.
And we've said this before. I'm really sorry to interrupt. We've said this before. I'll say it every time this comes up, and I'm going to talk straight to the camera so you see it. If you're in a leadership position, stop booking meetings over your employees' lunch breaks. Stop doing it. Thank you.
I've like lost my train of
I'm
thought.
sorry. Setting boundaries.
Yeah, so boundaries can come in any form, personal and business. Saying I've said no to opportunities before because I'm like, it doesn't work for me, or it doesn't, it's not, it just doesn't work, it just doesn't fit with what I've got going on, or whatever it might be. So just to round that off, boundaries can be in a personal or business capacity, and like just because it's family or events that you feel like you should be attending, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go. If it's, you need to be a bit selfish and put yourself at the top.
I agree. I'd like to kind of follow on then, because this still falls under schedule management, because I think you've put that up as a banner at the top, and I think we can put some stuff in underneath it. So
I think it's I think it's number one. I think that's how
I
you
do too.
avoid all of this.
I do too, and actually I think every single item here does fall under schedule management. So
Okay.
maybe this could have been like a 8-word podcast, like just fucking schedule your diary. But I've put here in big capital letters, fill your cup. If you're working in a capacity where you think you're at risk of burnout, or you think burnout could be further down the line, one of the best things you can do, again, block out some time, set some boundaries, and do things that fill your cup. Like we said, sometimes that's sat watching Disney movies on the sofa on a Sunday with some popcorn. Fuck yeah, that fills my cup up like you wouldn't believe. That could be date night. We were talking just, again, we've revamped our schedule 4 days ago. On an aeroplane, we sat and we just bashed it out because we had nothing else to do. And it's a case of finding like, cool, when are we going to have date night every month?
Yeah.
When every couple of months can we just palm off the boy on grandparents, aunties, whoever, and go for a night away?
Yeah.
It's vitally important.
With that as well, I was going to make a point on, that was it. I'm so sorry. Is having flexibility in your week too.
Yeah.
So I know I have days in my week where if I need to push the pace, I've got the room. And if I need to pull it back in again, I also have the room. So having like flexible parts within your week where you can be like, actually, I need to dial this back, because sometimes burnout presents itself in different ways. Like me and you both got to the extreme end of burnout, where it's like, it's physically, like you're physically or mentally done, and like it got to a really bad point. But burnout still presents itself in different ways, and that could be the form of like maybe tiredness or exhaustion. You're sleeping well, but actually maybe you're you're still really, really tired. Although there's still external internal factors here, but there are different signs as well. Sometimes you could be feeling a bit lazy. Actually, you're starting to burn out.
Yeah.
You're not able to concentrate, more brain fog. There's different symptoms that might present that actually you need to be able to dial it back. And I think even having that recognition in yourself to be like, I feel quite tired at the moment. Like I'm sleeping well, I'm eating well, I'm doing everything I need to do. Maybe I need to prioritize that and trying to capture it early as well. But like with the diary management, like I know I have a few days where I can, if I needed to slow down a little bit and maybe just give the body a bit of a rest, I can dial it back.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's really valid. I'm going to move on again. Like, fill your cup's obvious, right? So, like, do things that are enjoyable for you. Jiu-jitsu, family time. Whatever it is for me that are really important. Having a cigar by myself or with a friend. With a friend, preferably. Get to have a conversation and talk shit for an hour or so. But do things that fill your cup. All work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy, right? So, let's talk about, I want to talk about, I've got a couple here and I'm trying to put them in the best order. Put your devices down, I think, is a really big one. And I'm going to throw you under the bus a little bit here because of some upcoming stuff you've had going on. You've been a little bit guilty recently of an evening of spending a bit too much time on your phone. Now, for the record, she's not just fucking it off and scrolling and getting lost in a doom scroll.
No.
But still, devices down, read a book, switch off, watch a movie, spend some time with your loved ones. It's really important, and there's a couple of reasons that I think that's important. Particularly if you are using the same phone for work, and which I've done for the last decade, you have as well.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I was doom scrolling as a little bit of like a decompression,
Mm-hmm.
and an email comes in from a client or something happens, then you have to deal with it.
You turn straight back on again, don't you?
You turn straight back on.
To work mode.
But then there's also things like, I'm not going to get on my high horse about social media. We've just done a 3-parter on why social media is important for your business. But if you spend long enough on social media, you'll find some shit that winds you up or upsets you. And I don't think that's healthy.
No, definitely not. But with that as well, so if you're working flat out, I feel it a lot, and I can recognize it now, and I am really, really guilty of it. But sometimes, like I said to Rob, it can be really difficult because it sometimes needs must.
For sure.
In order for us to maintain this lifestyle and the balance that I want with parenting Ro and running a business, that's the sacrifice of my evenings late in order to be like a really present mum during the day. And sometimes that just has to give. But also sometimes a little bit down to poor diary management. Not necessarily management itself, just following what I put in place, or maybe losing way, like I said to you yesterday, didn't I? I don't really know what happened yesterday. I managed to get all of my tasks done, what I needed to do in the time frame, in a really, really good time frame, and be able to put my phone down and be able to read last night from revamping the diary a little bit. And then it's had a bit of a knock-on impact into today. So when I don't follow that diary management, that's when it sort of snowballs a little bit, when I then have to work late into the evenings.
For sure. But you've seen a direct knock-on in the way you feel in the morning and the data coming off of your sports watch.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Yeah, absolutely, is the way I feel the next day. Like sometimes let's say I'll go to sleep at 10:30, maybe wake up at 6:30, so a really solid amount of sleep, but I will wake up tired behind the eyes, and it only ever happens when I am on my phone late, because I have no problems getting to sleep, do I? I'll fall asleep within 2 to 4 minutes of me putting my phone down. I'll be gone, and my watch is always like, wow, you fell asleep so quick, and the quality of the sleep's there, but it's the behind the eyes grogginess that I get, which is horrible, and I just don't I correct it immediately. Then the next night I'm like, I'm not doing that again. It's horrible. So yeah, you do have to put your phone down. That blue light does again, this feeds into your burnout, because then you're not sleeping very well, or you are sleeping well. In my case, I'm waking up in the morning, I'm like, wow, I'm still so tired.
Well, that's the irony. You're not sleeping well. Duration and quality are two separate things.
Yeah, exactly.
When it comes to sleep. And
yeah. So I think I'm sleeping well, but actually the quality of the sleep is not where it needs to be. So yes. That is a really, really big one. Put your device down. Again, sometimes it's just a needs must situation, but I do really try to avoid it if I can, and have that reading in, because it's that decompression time, and then the quality of my sleep is a lot. And if you want to be able to do all the things that you want to be able to do, if you're not sleeping well, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. So yeah.
And I just think reading's so underrated in general. And I know we live busy lives, not us, but I just mean we as in the collective human race, right? We live busy lives. We've got a lot going on. But if you can find time just to get 10 pages in of an evening, it shouldn't take, I'm a really fucking slow reader, and I can get 10 pages in a relatively sensible time frame before I go to bed. Everything opens up for you. You become more worldly, more knowledgeable, more educated, more interesting. I just don't know why you wouldn't. And that goes for fiction and non-fiction, so try and get it in. It will, there's a great saying that I like that I'll butcher, I'm sure, but it's the level of your shit. What is it? How's it go? The level of your success will never outrun your level of self-development, or something along those lines. I've done a horrible job of that.
But no, but I know exactly what you mean. I know the quote that you're referring to.
Yeah, your level of success will never exceed your level of self-development. So I think reading's a brilliant way to do that. So look, we're talking about sleep, so let's double down. You and me talk about sleep like we're sponsored by it. Whilst we're on the subject of sponsors, do you want to talk about Nutonic very quickly?
Oh, this is really, really good.
Yeah.
This is good for like avoiding burnout, really, if you need a bit of focus or brain fuel. This is honestly, this nootropic is really, really good.
Yeah.
You guys can get 10% off if you want with Becky 10. But we have it whenever we do podcasts or whenever we have a deep work period. It just locks you in.
Yeah, it's amazing. And like Beck said, it's full of nootropics and caffeine, but not like
120 milligrams.
Yeah, not like an obscene amount of caffeine that's going to fuck you up for the rest of the day. But it's really good shit. Becky 10 for 10% off. Let's talk about sleep. Don't take it before you go to bed because it will fuck your sleep up. No, jokes aside, we talk about sleep like we are absolutely sponsored by it. It's something that we prioritize really highly. 7 to 9 hours.
I prioritize it the most. I think it's one of the top.
It's the most important.
And I will be buried in my sports watch, my Fitbit. I absolutely love my Fitbit.
You'll see it coming though, because it will tell you the data.
Yeah, it will. And I've got a lovely little tan line as well from where like I just will not take it off.
Show the tan line. That's actually true because you wear this thing like you wouldn't believe. I don't know how well you guys can see that. Oh, that doesn't do it justice, but
no.
That part of her wrist is like see-through.
Yeah, but I rely on this, so maybe too much. I don't know. I love it.
You definitely can get, not you, but in general, you can get lost in the data, but they're really useful. They're really useful. I like my watches too much to wear mine all the time, but most of the time I am wearing mine. It
definitely does get in my head a little bit, but in a good way.
Right.
Because if I see that like this morning I woke up a bit tired and a little bit like, but I had a really, really good night's sleep last night. Like again, when we talk about sleep, we're not just coming on and being like, oh guys, make sure you sleep well. Like last night, my sleep was 8 hours and 34 minutes. Between the 7 and 9 hours that we suggest, my sleep score was 89. My readiness is at 89 today, which is excellent. So that's really, really high. So sometimes when I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, I feel a bit tired and a bit groggy. And then I see my sleep come in and I see my readiness is at 89. So I'm like, oh, I actually, like my body's really well recovered. So it's psychological, yes, but it does really help me with that. Whereas sometimes what's really interesting actually is like other nights I've had like maybe 6.5 hours sleep. And that would be if like Roman wakes up. Like, do you remember last week? There was a couple of times last week, it must have been in the heat. He woke up and he was just awake, like sat up in his bed like, Mummy, what's this? What's this? It's like 3 a.m. But my recovery score was 99. So I'd obviously, when I had slept really, really, really well. But legit, when we talk about sleep, we get our sleep.
Yeah. I mean,
I went to bed early last night because I needed to catch up on some sleep.
Yeah. I tried to, but I was too eager to see if Argentina got beat in the World Cup, which they did. So that's good news. I'll take less sleep to see Argentina get beat in a World Cup final. Why is sleep great for burnout or avoiding burnout? Well, it's literally where all of the recovery happens from a cognitive standpoint, physically. It's restorative, it's regenerative. It helps you retain information. It's the fucking magic formula. And the more I think about it, the more I put it above exercise and nutrition. I'm sure there's people that would disagree with me on that. And I'm not saying either or, by the way. I'm saying and, but I just think it's hard without a good night's sleep to get a good workout.
If you're not sleeping well though, your nutrition takes a hit because the hunger hormones are higher.
Right.
So, you're way more likely to eat sugar, have cravings.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're the most disciplined person, if you're hungry, it messes with your hormones in a really, really bad way. And then, like I say, you're craving sugar. I literally had a client say this to me this morning in their check-in. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you haven't been sleeping very well. Going to bed at 11:30. I'm like, it's really hard because I don't want to sound like a parent or patronize anybody, but 11:30 is far too late if you are getting up at like 5:30, 6 in the morning. Like, you need to think about that window of sleep that you're getting. And like, yes, you're an adult and you have the freedom to go to bed whenever you wish, but prioritize your bedtime. Like if your partner, we spoke about this before, if your partner does not ready to go up, like you actually did come up because we went up and read together, didn't we? But you found it hard because you want to see the score or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll go to bed without Rob. But like, see ya. I need to sleep. One of the good things that we have done, I'm not saying it makes a massive difference, and we are getting it back. So I'm going to caveat that. I'm not saying it's, the be or end all, because we are going to get it back. But we haven't had a TV in our room for years. And I know that can be quite influential for people watching TV, especially watching shit TV.
Yeah.
If you have a TV in your room, we took that out years ago, but we are bringing one back in because, I actually really like it for downtime on a Saturday night. I would much rather at 8:00, 8:30, go to bed and watch a film in bed. And I miss being able to do that. But we actually don't watch TV anyway, so we won't. But I know some people that could be quite an influencing factor when you're prioritizing your sleep and stuff.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I agree. So look, we're not your mum and dad, but fucking go to bed and go to bed on time. It's going to change everything. It's going to change also, in a wider sense, like your mood. You're going to be a nicer person to be around. You're going to be less irritable. Your problem solving will improve.
You feel better.
Yeah, your general efficiency, when you start to like reverse engineer that and you start adding those things in negatively, well, of course you're going to rush towards burnout faster.
Yeah, definitely.
You just feel like you're running uphill the whole time.
Yeah, but also with that, sometimes people are like, I'm going to go get a blood test booked because I just feel like I'm really fatigued and I'm not doing very well. And, like I'm sleeping, but I'm just not moving forward. And it's like, well, fix these little things, because if you don't, like you say, you're going to gradually get to a point where you're just burning out. You're just going to, yeah. So sleep is huge, huge. And sometimes that might look in the form of like cancelling plans or cancelling going out with friends because you need to go to bed like 8:00 on a Friday night just to catch up on some of the sleep that you might have missed during the week.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's interesting, right? Because you said about like cancelling friends to prioritize sleep, or that's one of many examples that I think successful and healthy people will implement. And then you'll get the other side of the coin. And I'm really big on this. I'm kind of big on this anti-Stephen Bartlett optimization everything. I do think there are these over-optimizers. We're big on optimization. That's our thing, right? Mm-hmm. It makes us happy. We like it. We do it. I'm not saying... And again, everything that we're saying, this is just advice, by the way. It's just our own, from our own meandering experience, to quote Baz Luhrmann. But, people will say, oh, well, you've got to live a little bit. And I totally agree. Mm-hmm. I was drinking Guinness all weekend in Ireland, right? Yeah. I'm in Ireland. I'm going to be drinking Guinness all weekend, right? So there's going to be a trade-off. I'm going to be slightly under the cosh for a couple of days, but I understand that's how it is. But I think it's finding this balance between like optimizing and people saying fucking live a little. But my thing is like, I understand that live a little. But what quality of fucking life is there to live if you are just underslept, you're poorly nourished from food, you're not exercising, so your body hurts and feels like shit and you can't walk up a flight of stairs? So it's finding that balance. And I'm not saying that we've got it right, and I'm not saying that, other people have got it wrong. But, I find you got to live somewhere in the middle. Because yes, live a little, but also like have some fucking discipline.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of and you've got to find what works for you. So I think that's quite a nice segue actually into kind of the final point I want to talk about with burnout. And this generally is a bit of a mental one, but it chips away at you and eats away at you. Negativity blocking. People, content, gossip. You've got to cut that shit out of your life because it's no good for you. So we talked about the people that say, oh, live a little, do this, do that. Why are you so strict all the time? Why are you counting your calories? And of course, on the flip side, there's also people that are saying, count your fucking calories and do this and optimize to this and cold plunge. And I know that's us, but I'm just saying, like, if you find it negative and it's negatively impacting you, get it gone. It's the same as setting boundaries. Set boundaries around people. Cut out the cancer. It spreads. people, gossip, content, you are what you consume. And you have no idea how that chips away at people. And if you stack that on top of poor sleep and you're on your devices all the time and, you're not spending time with your loved ones, it's just eventually it's going to compound, it's going to domino, and it's going to pull you under. And I've seen, obviously you've had some interesting situations over the past year where you've cut some situations and cut some people out, and how much easier is your life now?
So much better. So much better, because like, especially with situations where like it causes an underlying amount of stress that it shouldn't, and anxiety of maybe anticipating what could happen.
Yep.
What are you going to do if this does happen?
Yep.
You start to preempt situations, you start to prepare yourself physically, mentally for, how you might respond if certain things happen, or like, but that comes again with time. You got to be disciplined with that. Like, you just can't let it consume you. And I know that's so much easier said than done. And I think being a mentally strong person is actually really, really difficult. And there's books that you can read to help you with stuff like that. But you need to be able to be in a position where you can go, nah, like, I'm not dealing with this, I'm cutting it out. Like, I've seen stuff on social media that is absolutely blatantly aimed at me. And I'm like, okay,
Move on.
move on. Like, or I see posts that are directed at me and I'm like, okay, I just don't care. And you shouldn't either, because when you start to consume it, I literally had this conversation with a client this morning because she had a situation online and getting really stressed and with some comments and stuff. And I'm like, mate, just delete it and move on. Like, don't worry about it. Don't let it enter your sphere. Like, it all interlinks. Everything in life interlinks. This links in with boundaries, setting boundaries, and like, I'm just not allowing it in. You can see it, you can deal with it, you can have conversations with people who support you. Like, I'll always have a conversation. I'll tell you, even if you don't know the person, I'll be like, this has been said online. And you're like, before I even finish, you're like, that's aimed at you.
Yeah.
But we move on. We don't care. Like, and there's got to be a little bit of that as well.
There does. And
but that comes from lessons as well. You got to learn that.
Yeah. And you'll make mistakes along the way.
Yeah.
But certainly cutting people out is very important.
It is,
cutting out the noise.
Like you say, it's just so consuming. And it gives you amount of stress and anxiety that you just don't need. There's like, it can't even be. I think the problem is with that, with the stress and anxiety it gives you, is that it can't just be taken away. Like a problem, like if you were stressed about something, a problem at work, for example, and like your boss or someone could say to you, like, don't worry, Rob, like, we'll take care of that. Like, just take it off your desk for the minute. And you can always be like, okay, cool. I just needed that. I needed someone to take that off me or give me a hand. That can't be done with preempt situations. Yeah. And a lot of the time, the reason why you're so stressed is because you're preempting what's going to happen, which doesn't happen anyway. And you get so worked up. So if you can just cut it out, like, just don't worry about it.
Yeah, I can't stress that enough. And then even things like knowing that you need to cut the person out of your life, for example, I'm just using that as an example. And then you have this kind of stress and anxiety about the build up to cutting them out of your life.
Yeah, well, that was me, wasn't it? That was what happened with me.
Yeah, there was one situation, but yeah,
too much details here, but that did happen, and I needed to cut this person out for a very long time, and I didn't, and there was a lot of stress and anxiety that built up around that, and then preempted situations. All of this type of stuff was very, like, a lot of underlying stress. And then when that person eventually was cut out of my life, like, it's like so much better. Yeah. Like, you just walk around so much lighter, so feeling so much better. So yeah, getting rid of anything negative, really, like social media accounts that you find negative, that impacts you. And that doesn't even matter if it's really silly. Like, if I told you something impacted me negatively and you're like, well, why would that happen? Like, why? It doesn't matter. If you feel it, like, get rid of it. If it sounds silly or yeah.
Here's a piece of advice that I think you can try. When it comes to social media inherently is designed to just evoke the most extreme reactions, whether positive or negative. It doesn't really care. It's quite apathetic. It just wants a reaction. And you are the algorithm. So don't go fucking blaming the algorithm. You are the algorithm because you keep engaging with it. So something that I did a little while ago, and it's really cool, is I just started commenting on posts, not arguing, not bickering. I would just, if I saw something uplifting, or I think it started off with, I'd seen this guy, he'd lost a ton of weight, like a ton of weight. So I just commented, like, great work, buddy. Well done. And then my feed started feeding more stuff into me.
Positive stuff.
Positive stuff. There's a little boy with a walking disability, and he had like a walker, like a frame, and he was training essentially to get up a curb, and he did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I'm like out loud, like, yes, commented like, great work, well done, congratulations. And so you can just completely redesign your algorithm to fit you, but you have to put in a little bit of work. Start engaging with content, start commenting, start liking, start giving feedback. I said to you, I direct messaged a guy on social media a couple of weeks ago. He was a dad, and he was creating content around helping other dads deal with grief. So I messaged him out of the blue and just told him that he was an amazing human and what he's doing is really special. And lo and behold, what do I see on my algorithm now? Just positive shit, nice shit, happy shit. So, you can get out ahead of it, and you can totally change what you are consuming.
But this does actively still work towards burnout, because the thing is if you're already at the point of burning out, or like working towards burnout, you're tired, you're fatigued, and then what you're seeing on social media, or just not social media in general, like you have got negative people around you, like
bringing you down.
It brings you down. It wears you down physically, like, as well. Physically, mentally, it's exhausting. It is fucking exhausting. So it's definitely a lesson I've had to learn the hard way, and it's something that I absolutely will not let happen again. But yeah, that's a good one to finish off on. So just to recap and round everything up, schedule optimization. We speak about it a lot, but if you're not doing it, like, where it all feeds into what you said as well, that work and play, having that balance. Like, where's your playtime? What are you working so hard for if you haven't got your playtime? And then you don't want to work so hard that when you get to your playtime, you can't enjoy it because you're fucked. That's a big part of it too. Like my holiday, the first few days of my holiday were completely ruined because I still was ill whilst on holiday.
That meant our holiday was ruined, by the way.
Yeah.
The knock-on effect, right?
Yeah. I just
you weren't really present.
No, I was really ill.
Yeah.
To the point where, like, I shouldn't have even gone on holiday. Really.
No, probably not.
But I was like, I'll be fine. Making sure you prioritize sleep and getting that in. Again, all of these things like feed and chip down your, if you had like a little burnout tower that, would eventually collapse when you get to burnout, these things would be chipping away at it. Sleep, chipping away if you're not getting enough sleep. Your schedule's not where it needs to be. It's going to chip away.
Yeah.
You put what was the one we just said?
Negativity. People, content.
All of it just chips away at you, and like it just burns you down. So all of these are really key factors to avoid burning out. And from two people that have experienced it both physically and mentally, it's not fun. It's horrible, and we prioritize all of the stuff that we've said at the forefront of what we do, because just to avoid burning out again, right?
Yeah.
So, and we haven't even come close to it.
No. So just, final thoughts from me, because I don't want to dwell on it too. I don't want to burn you out listening to this episode. A really useful thing that we've introduced, and I'm not saying it's directly linked with burnout, but what it does is it frames some perspective for our day. For the last few years, we've been every morning reading excerpts from a book called The Daily Stoic. It's by a guy called Ryan Holiday. He's an amazing philosophy expert.
Is his name actual Holiday?
Yeah, Holiday. It's Holiday. Ryan Holiday, like holiday, like going on holiday, like the Madonna song. And like I say, he's a philosophy expert, predominantly around Stoic philosophy. And every day it's almost like just a couple of lines from an ancient
Diary.
philosopher, really. So it could be Seneca, it could be Marcus Aurelius, could be Epictetus. And then he just kind of puts it into modern day English, like what this means. Guys, I'm talking, you're not going to read more than 15 lines.
It shouldn't even really take more than 3 minutes.
It's very quick. It's something you could have on your desk, could be part of your morning routine, could be on your nightstand. But try and have a little look for that book and give it a little read every morning, because what it then does is it gives you just like a little nugget of wisdom to carry through in the day.
Switches your perspective on things.
Exactly that.
You could read it whilst you put the kettle on.
We do. That's what I do. So while my eggs are boiling in the morning, I have a quick flick through that. Or we'll read it to each other if the other one's busy. So The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday, that's a really cool book just to chuck in the morning to give you some perspective on balance and life and managing people and emotions.
And you can just keep reading it, can't you? We've read it. We've had it out for years. Every year we just run the cycle. It's a daily thing. You just go to the day, and some things you read and you're like, needed that today.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah.
So that's that. We won't dwell on that any longer. Thank you as always for joining us. We were just saying before this episode, we fucking love doing this so much. It's so fun, and more and more people are starting to listen, which is nice. But even if one person listens, we see that as mission accomplished. So thank you for your support as always, and we'll see you next time.
Ciao.